What's up, Taiwan? I'm Yvonne with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. President Lai Ching-te has led memorials marking the 66th anniversary of the Second Taiwan Strait crisis. The conflict on the outlying islands off China's coast left hundreds dead and was the last major battle between China and Taiwan. Electoral has more from Kinmen.
President Lai Ching-te is here at a cemetery on Kinmen Island, just off the coast of China. He's here to pay his respects to those that died in the second cross-strait crisis more than 60 years ago. That was the last major battle between Taiwan and China, and several hundred people died here.
如果不是当年你们有决心、团结一致、不妥协、不受分化，打赢这场胜仗， 台湾不可能有今天这个情况，所以面对中国的威胁，我们不必忧长危机，我们就只有一个目标：捍卫国家主权。
But he's coming at a time where tensions continue to rise between China and Taiwan. A lot of that is taking place in the waters near here, with Chinese Coast Guard vessels infringing Taiwan's restricted waters. So the purpose of his trip here is to thank those that sacrificed their lives for Taiwan, but it also sends a clear message to China that Lai Ching-te can come here to Taiwan's sovereign territory, whether Beijing likes it or not. Chris Ma and Rick Lowett in Kinmen County for TaiwanPlus.
There's been a surge in Chinese military activities around the country. Taiwan's military says it's been deploying air defense systems after 41 Chinese military aircraft and 7 naval ships were spotted operating around the country. 32 of those planes breached Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, or ADIZ. That airspace doesn't belong to Taiwan, but is used by the military as a defensive buffer. The incursion comes just a day after a U.S.-guided missile destroyer sailed into the Taiwan Strait in what the United States is calling a freedom of navigation exercise. And to find out more about the spike in Chinese military activity, Jaime Ocon spoke to Ben Lewis, his co-founder of PLA Tracker, an organization that tracks Chinese fighter jets flying around Taiwan.
Oh, Ben, I want to start off with this number. It's 41 Chinese military aircraft operating around Taiwan, and 32 of them were spotted in the ADIZ, which is a little bit closer to Taiwan. Is that number significant? Is that a high number of planes?
Well, I think it is significant. For one, the number we're talking about is well above average. 32 should be considered a kind of a major incursion into the ADIZ. And it comes kind of in the face of one President Lai's visit to Kinmen for the anniversary of the A-23 artillery battle of the Second Taiwan Strait crisis. And it also comes immediately following a U.S. warship transiting the Taiwan Strait. But kind of in the broader scheme of things, in the last 3.5 months since President Lai took office, there's been an unprecedented surge in Chinese military activity around Taiwan. So we have now surpassed the yearly record for the number of Chinese aircraft tracked inside the ADIZ. That was 1,738 in 2022. With tonight's report, we're up to over 1,770. So we've blown past that record, and it looks like we're not going to stop anytime soon.
You also mentioned this U.S. warship transit in the Taiwan Strait. What was the United States trying to signal to China with this operation, and why was China upset with this?
Well, all Taiwan Strait transits are intended to signal the same thing, whether U.S. ships or U.S. and allies and partners, or just other states in general, which we've seen this year. And that's the Taiwan Strait is international waters at the end of the day. And all states have the right to transit through international waters. Now, China doesn't feel that way. China, views that the Taiwan Strait is an internal body of water for China because they claim Taiwan as part of the People's Republic of China. And so it is viewed as inherently escalatory when the U.S. sends ships to the Taiwan Strait, but in all reality, under international law, it's a completely justifiable thing to do.
Looking at the press release from the United States Navy, they mentioned the word high seas and that they were transiting in a corridor within the Taiwan Strait. Usually they use language like international waters. Is there a difference between that high seas and international waters? And why is the United States playing around with that wording?
Well, I think it's important to note that the U.S., in addition to saying high seas, also specified that the area that they move their ship through is beyond the territorial waters of any coastal state. But the use of high seas is nothing really major. It just reflects a more close alignment with the actual language in the UN Convention of the Law on the Sea. The reality is China has sent over 1,000 planes around Taiwan within a few dozen miles of Taiwan in the last 3.5 months. And it's the new normal. China's very good at creating those. And so, as in Washington, in Taipei, all over the world, what we have to recognize is that when these things develop in the way that ADA's activity has developed in the last 4 years, when we don't take action to prevent this escalation, we're setting ourselves up for whatever that unknown is.
That was Ben Lewis, co-founder of PLA Tracker. China is allowing more tourists to visit parts of Taiwan, ending years of travel restrictions. Fujian province has resumed processing visas for independent and group travelers visiting the Matsu Islands, which are just off its coast. But Beijing's restrictions on tourism to other parts of Taiwan remain in place. Officials from Taiwan's Kinmen Islands, which are also close to China, have traveled to Beijing to discuss the ban. They say they're hopeful they will see tourists again soon. Taiwan's government has welcomed the developments.
政府欢迎更多的陆客到金门马祖旅游，这个是我们再三表示过的。陈委员这个行程我们也都知道。那如果陈委员此行有任何进展，就是能够让陆客来到金门的话，我们都非常乐见。
U.S. human rights officials have met with Tibetan spiritual leader Dalai Lama during his first trip to the United States since 2017. At a meeting in New York, the officials reaffirmed Washington's support for Tibetans' human rights. The Dalai Lama has been visiting the U.S. to undergo a knee operation. Beijing says the Dalai Lama is a separatist and criticized his visit.
众所周知，14世达赖并不是单纯的宗教人士，也根本不是什么非暴力和平人士，而是一个披着宗教外衣、从事反华分裂活动的政治流亡者。中方坚决反对任何国家允许达赖以任何名义窜访，坚决反对任何国家的政府官员以任何形式会见达赖，已向美方提出严正交涉。
Indonesia's parliament has scrapped planned changes to its election laws after major protests across the country. In Jakarta, thousands of people protested in front of the parliament building, setting tires on fire and letting off firecrackers. Police responded with tear gas and water cannons. The protesters say that the reforms were undemocratic and aimed at installing a political dynasty. Heavy monsoon rains have inundated northern Thailand, killing 5 people and injuring dozens of others. The flooding has affected more than 12,000 households, with waist-deep rainwater flowing through the streets and submerging farmlands across the region. Thailand experiences heavy seasonal rain every year, but climate change is making extreme weather patterns more severe. 5,000 signatures in 60 days. That's the goal of campaigners who have launched a petition calling on Taiwan to allow foreigners to become Taiwanese without giving up their passports. Louis Watt was at the campaign launch event.
Should Taiwan make it easier for foreigners to gain citizenship? Campaigners here in Taipei say yes, arguing that it will help Taiwan deal with an aging society as well as talent shortages. To become Taiwanese, most foreigners have to give up their nationality. Many foreign residents have long said this is unfair because Taiwanese are allowed to hold dual nationality.
What we are doing for our Dual Nationality Taiwan campaign is ultimately a call for legislative reform.
This event has been organized by Crossroads, a non-profit pushing Taiwan to become more international. Speakers include legislators from Taiwan's 2 main parties and long-term foreigners sharing their own fights for citizenship.
Letting go of one identity to fully embrace another is a choice that no one should have to make, because it's a choice that divides rather than unites.
Campaigners here, along with the Canadian, Australian, New Zealand and French Chambers of Commerce and others, are urging people to sign a petition, calling on the government to overturn the rule that permanent residents must renounce their original citizenship. They say for the good of Taiwan's development and security, this change is needed. Klein Wong and Louise Watt in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwanese researchers have developed a new technique that stops cancer cells from multiplying. The National Health Research Institute's technique targets specific proteins to block the raw materials cancer cells need to grow. The approach will begin the second phase of clinical trials this year. If successful, it could enable the creation of new drugs that can shrink tumors.
26年来，我们总共有23个候选药物，有11个候选药物已经技术移转给国内跟国外的厂商。我们预估今年应该是有至少3个会进到临床2期。
A Little League baseball team from Taoyuan has advanced to the World Series finals being held in the United States. The Guishan Elementary School team defeated Japan 3-1 in the semifinals on Wednesday, securing their 4th consecutive victory in the series. They had previously beaten Canada, Australia, and Cuba. Their next match will take place on August 25th, U.S. time. One of the world's most prestigious film festivals has returned to Taiwan. Sandy Chi went to Sundance to witness the Short Film Awards.
Welcome to Taipei!
Rolling out the red carpet for the unsung heroes of TV and film. The sound directors, designers, and photographers behind hits like Game of Thrones, Thor: The Dark World, and The Joker are all gathered here in Taipei for the Sundance Film Festival Asia.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Kim Yatani Heidi Wicker.
Sundance is the largest independent film festival in the world. And this year, it's holding its Asia event in Taiwan for the second time.
There's so much talent here. There's obviously a great film school system here, which is really cool and exciting to see. And they're just so engaged. And the conversations I see them have with our visiting filmmakers, they're really inspiring to us. We want to be a little bit of everything. There's a place for every kind of filmmaker's work at our festival, and that's what we really want people to know.
The festival intends to foster exchanges between filmmakers in Taiwan and the international community. It also provides a vulnerable opportunity to discover and nurture Taiwanese talent.
I think one thing as a talent agent that we're always looking for is people who are unique, people who are authentic, and artists who kind of speak to something that feels new and different.
That talent was on full display at the short film competition, with a shortlist containing 6 movies by Taiwanese filmmakers.
The winner is
Among them was 32-year-old Lin Qianyu, whose film Suojiang, about a locksmith, won the prestigious Best Short Film Award.
我觉得是很大的肯定啊，就是自己看的片被不管是评审团还是就是观众们看见，然后被他们支持，我觉得是非常大的肯定，然后也给我更多的动力去继续拍片。
The judges say that every shortlisted film was intriguing and had its own unique voice, but that Suojiang stood out from the rest.
I really love, how she plays with the genres. Like she combines, I would say, realism and then fantasy, and also psychological thrillers together in a very vague and an organic way. I really love the way that she, do the soundings and also editing. Everything is just interesting and organic, I would say.
The short film portion of the event is finished, but Sundance is just getting started.
As this festival short film competition comes to an end, the event shifts to higher gear with an expanded lineup of screenings, intensive panels, and also insightful workshops.
We love being here to learn about filmmakers, but also for filmmakers to learn about us, and that's the best version of this festival experience.
And with event organizers bringing Sundance back to Taiwan, it's clear they see the country and its filmmaking talent as a crucial part of that best version. Chris Ma, Patrick Chen, Yushen Lai, and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can follow TaiwanPlus on social media for more of our stories. Finally, get ready to welcome Berlin Zoo's newest resident, 2 panda cubs. Marlon Mong Mong is due to give birth at the end of the month. I'm Yvonne Yang. Take care, and I'll see you next time.